Well, good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino Beer Review. You might notice I'm doing a Weiss roll, which means I'm drinking a wheat beer. So, the big question is, what do we have in our hands, eh? It is from North Brewing Company in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. This is Full Moon Wheat Beer, and it's a 4.3% alcohol by volume wheat beer. So that's actually amazing because I don't normally see a wheat beers that low in ABV unless they're like Gozas or a Berliner Weiss. Basically, the only two wheat beers that I see low ABV. We have ingredients of water, malt, hops, and yeast, and brewed by North Brewing in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. www.northbrewing.ca. Cheers, your neighbor. Product of Canada. These guys do ship cross Canada. So if you want to try their beer and you're not in Nova Scotia and you do not have a beer trading partner, you can still get said beer fairly simply. Now, you may have noticed one misdemeanor, and that is that my glass was not rinsed. There was a little bit of head still on it. Too little to really affect anything. But if you're wondering why, it's because this side of my basement is not wet. There's no sink on this side of my basement, and my wife is trying to sleep. That's why I'm out here. I got off work late tonight. So I decided to do my beer reviews out in the utility room, which has my beautiful burnt pine wall paneling that I've been building. This stuff looks so good, and it was so cheap to make. I started with just going, hey, let's do our baseboards in charred pine. And my wife's like, well, how do you char your pine? I go, I take the pine, I take a propane torch and I char it, and then I clear coat it. And it fucking, to me, it looks amazing. It really does. And I think it brings the value up exponentially on the house in general. Now, the one thing I would change, if I was to do this again, some of these boards I have cut so they have seam lines, like if you're doing vinyl flooring and stuff. And I think the seam lines add to the aesthetic, because before I got to doing the seam lines, I was using full boards. And as cool as the full boards are, and they are cool, don't get me wrong, I do not think the full boards are as interesting looking as the cut ones, because the cut ones end up bringing different burnt grains to the spot. Also, I missed this one board. This one shouldn't be here. This is a American red cedar, and it was meant for the landing upstairs, because upstairs gets exposed to weather, and it ended up being mixed in with the spruce and, well, pine. It could be spruce, pine, or fir. It's SPF, but I'm guessing it's most likely spruce. Anyway, little bit of haze to it, not much. Golden color, bright white head, smell out of the glass. Not much out of the glass. What about out of the can? Just kind of bready and biscuity out of the can. I don't know what I expected. I don't know what type of wheat beer this is considered. But hey, let's try it. Cheers. Wow. Now, it's not that the flavor of this is spectacular per se. There's nothing wrong with the flavor, don't get me wrong. The wow wasn't about the flavor. The wow was about the lightness and the drinkability of this. A lot of wheat beers, I don't know if everybody else is the same as me, but a lot of, especially craft wheat beers, just feel very heavy, full-bodied, heavy in the gut. Excuse me, kind of like they weigh you down. This is not one of those beers. This beer is very easy drinking, very light carbonation, light on the palate, light on the gut. This is to me at least, this is a wheat beer that if you wanted to session a wheat beer, you could probably session this. Why is there screws in my pocket? Now, it kind of has crystal Weizen flavors to it in that, oh, it's very hazy now. There was a lot of splooge in the bottom. I get a little bit of yeasty esters, both fruity, banana-y, coriander-y, but other than that, it's just very wheaty, very bready. There almost is like a clove bitterness right at the back of the palate, but that's not because there's cloves in it. That's full on the yeast playing a game on my palate. Oh, excuse me. 4.3% alcohol by volume. I'm still impressed with that. Where would I put this beer? I would buy it again. I would say that this is a light beer I could get behind. It's a light beer that is full flavored. Now, if I was looking at it as just a wheat beer, it's probably a fairly weak wheat beer. Stylistically, I'm not on anything padded. Usually I sit on a padded chair. I'm sitting on a stoop. And my ass, I have lost a little bit of weight. My ass ain't as padded as it used to be. So I have to move around quite a bit, keep myself comfy. Yeah, it's a very nice beer. It's a very refreshing beer. It's a beer I could drink often. I'll give it a 7.75. Thank you, guys. And that was Full Moon wheat beer from North Brewing Company. Cheerio, boys and girls. Cheerio.